Hi, everybody. It's Mike from Hear The Watchman. And, tonight I'm really excited for tonight's show to have with us one of the guys out there. He's a young man who's doing a fantastic job bringing you information, the word of the Lord, and just a wide variety of topics to keep you up to pace with what's going on in the world today, some breaking news about discoveries that are coming up. And I want to welcome from the Sharpening Report, Sam Johnston. Sam, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me back, Mike. I'm glad to be here, and I'm excited to see you in less than a month now, or almost a month.
That's right. I mean, it's on March 22nd through the 25th in Dallas, Texas, folks. That's the Hear the Watchman Conference. You want to get there. It is at the Hilton DFW Executive Lakes Conference Center and Hotel, 10 minutes away from DFW Airport. We've got a great lineup. Sam's going to be there. He's going to, I'm sure, be doing some shows from there, recording some shows for you. But, we have like Henry Groover there, the original prayer walker. It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for you to hear him. John B. Wells will be there, L.A. Marzulli, Michael Boldea, Pastor Paul Begley, Russ Dizdar, Dr. Michael Lake, Derek Gilbert, Lisa Haven, Carl Gallups, Josh Tolley, Michael Boldea, Bill Salas, Mary and Don Colbert, Coach Dave Daubenmeier, Casper McLeod, Pastor Casper McLeod, Ray Gano, Josh Peck, Christina Peck, Brandon Gallups, and our luncheon speaker is Colonel John Moore. I mean, could you get a better lineup than that, Sam?
I think the show has to be over now. We used all of our time because the list was so long of people coming to the Hear the Watchman.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's a once-in-a-lifetime event. Folks, go online to hearthewatchman.com, get your tickets, use the promotional code Dallas20, and save yourself $20 off a ticket. And also that code will save you $20 off of our live stream platform. So, and the other neat thing about the streaming, it's all hosted on Vimeo, and you have 6 months to view the conference. So you can go back and study it over and over. But, Sam, tonight I wanted to talk a little bit about your show. I mean, you've got some incredible guests. I've gone through there and looked and watched several of your episodes, and you haven't been at this too long. How did you get started doing the Sharpening Report?
Well, it all started. Well, I mean, it started forever ago. I mean, God has been preparing me for something like this for a long time. But yeah, He's blessed me with a lot of great guests, and it's been. I guess I don't really know how to describe it. It's not easy to get such intelligent people to come and want to sit and talk to you for an hour, but He's opened the doors for that. It started a while ago. I met Josh down at Hear the Watchman last year, and just sat down and had lunch with him. He ended up buying me lunch, even though I was going to buy him lunch. And we just started talking about the world and talking about how there's so many Christians out there that kind of feel alone, especially at an event like Hear the Watchman, where kind of pockets of people can finally come together and be in a great community. So we were talking about that, and that was kind of the end of it. And I just thanked him for lunch and kind of went our separate ways. And a couple months later, I woke up early one morning, and I just felt in my heart, God was like, "Are you ready? Because the next step starts now." And I had a couple things that I had planned out, and I thought that's what it was going to be. And Josh ended up emailing me that day, which I had not expected. He's like, "Hey, I got a project for you. Can you help me?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." It was helping with his newsletter. And he's like, "Yeah, it's just into the multiverse right now, because I don't have a host for I don't have a host for the Sharpening Report." I was like, "Yeah, sure. I'd love to help you. And if you need a host for the Sharpening Report, let me know. I'll guest host a couple times." And he's like, "Funny you mentioned that, because God had put it on my heart that maybe I should ask you if you wanted to host it." And it just kind of snowballed into that. And I guess that's probably another reason why I've been able to get some good guests, is because I can just pretend, I can use Josh's name and they all know him. So it's a lot of fun. It's kind of a different take than a lot of different podcasts, just as we like to I really like to focus on positivity and hope and just humor, add some humor into it. The other day, someone called me a cornball because I was immature because I made too many jokes, and I thought that was funny, but I just said I appreciate the feedback. But it was funny that we just like to joke around, have a couple laughs, and talk about the really true, deep, important aspects of our world, because there's no reason we can't have some humor. I mean, we're going to win in the end. Now we're just talking about ideas at this point. So, so we have a good time over there.
That's funny. Somebody called you a cornball like that. I mean, because I actually reached a milestone in my life, especially in my career since I started this show, where someone today accused me of being a prude. Now, I've been accused of being a lot of things in my lifetime, but never a prude. So I found it rather humorous. But, you've had so many amazing guests on your show. I mean, who, of course, besides me, who is your absolute favorite guest or most interesting guest that you can put your fingers on right now?
Oh, that's such a hard question. I feel like I'm going to insult a lot of people. No, I just had Doc Marquis on. I just did an interview a little bit ago with Doc Marquis. It's going to be posted on Friday, tomorrow. And that was a super fascinating interview. We talk about Donald Trump and how he plays into the Illuminati and the deep state, and what his role is in all of that. I won't spoil it for you, but that was super interesting. Doc's a great guy. There was a question, someone asked him how many times his life has been threatened. He just broke out into laughter. Like, he couldn't stop laughing because it was just so many times. So it was fun. I would say probably my favorite is Mark Taylor. I don't know. It's just, you ever meet those people who you just immediately have some sort of kinship with and just friendship, and and that's just kind of what it was with me and Mark. And so probably the last interview I did with him was great. We had a really good intro where we just joked back and forth. And so probably Mark, he just has so many great things to say. He's so hopeful, but yet so willing to fight and get his hands dirty. And that's the mentality that I like to carry as well. Obviously, he's leaps and bounds ahead of me, but he's a great guy.
That's awesome. Now, listen, we're going to talk about sort of a bit of a serious subject here. You are a millennial, and now, of course, we have, what do they call the Generation Z or something like that, the next generation coming up. But I want to talk to you. We're here in the aftermath of the Florida school shootings. Now, there's a lot of stuff going on out there. I mean, you had the representative from the NRA that was accosted, so to speak, during a speech where the people said, ban guns, but we want to burn her. They were saying, burn her, burn her, burn her. Mostly the younger generation. Now, I will tell you that as an old guy, nobody's going to take our guns away, my guns away. But then at least where we live now, guns are no big deal. I mean, we don't take them to schools and shoot people. I mean, they're used for hunting. And I wanted to kind of get a read from someone from your generation on where do you think we go from here? I mean, it is rather horrific that in the big cities across America, it's no longer safe to send your children to school.
Yeah, it is definitely an interesting topic to discuss because it's so hard. It's such an emotional topic that it's hard just to get down to the logic and the evidence of it. But the debate comes down to people who own guns and know about guns, and people who don't own guns and never interacted with them. And so it's like a informed group of people and an uninformed group of people arguing about, and they can't reach a common goal because one's informed and one's not. It's how do you argue with like ignorant people? It's just, you can't. You just get fed up and then they storm away. And it's really sad what happened. Obviously, you never want to see that, and it's sad anytime death is used for a political advantage. But I mean, you see that on both sides. No matter what the tragedy is, someone's trying to use it for a political gain. It's too bad that it has to come to that. But I mean, as a millennial, it's like I don't want my guns to be taken away or my rights to be taken away. And you see those high schoolers coming out and really having a loud voice in politics, and you have like CNN like really supporting them and saying that they should have the right to vote. They're trying to lower the age to 16 because they think that they should have the vote. And it's just like, it's on one hand, I've been in that place where you want to share your thoughts and you want to share what you feel at a young age, and no one listens to you. It's like you don't know anything. I'm not going to listen to you. And that's super frustrating. So I don't want to be like that, but at the same time, they're really not informed. They're basing an ideology off of one experience, which you just can't do. You have to be able to incorporate all different facts about, what's going on in our world. And so you can't just accept what they say because they went through it one time. And you see that so much in our world is, oh, I have this friend who was involved with this, so now I know why I believe this. It's like, well, there's a lot of other statistics that back up the opposite of what you're saying. And so it's not really fair to just say, well, they went through this, so I'm gonna accept it. And I don't know, it's just mind-blowing how the same rhetoric can be used for every topic, but if you're Republican or Democrat, it depends what topic you flip the rhetoric. It's like if I was uninformed. So for example, I'm a white male and I'm not allowed to talk about feminism. Well, it's like, well, okay, if you don't own a gun, by that logic, you shouldn't be allowed to talk about gun rights. Like, it just, like, that same rhetoric is used on either side, and there's not really any like logic. It's all emotion based. So yeah, it's sad, but eventually you have to be able to put your emotions aside and really just discuss it and try to reach some common ground, which to reach common ground, you have to be informed. You have to know what an AR-15 is. You have to know what a bump stock is. You have to know what kind of caliber they use, and you have to know the statistics behind school shootings. And it's just, they're just throwing around false statistics, whatever backs up their point. So it's really hard to be able to discuss that intelligently with people when they're not even willing to do their own research.
I think you're really onto something there, Sam. I think that's part of the problem. I mean, in many parts of the country, like the parts of the country, again, that I live in, it's when deer season opens up, it's not uncommon to go by the high school and see pickup trucks in the parking lot with the hunting rifles and the gun racks in the back. It's just not a big deal. But I think that there's a different mentality in the city and in the populated areas. And I do believe that the age limit for, someone to go out and buy an AR-15 or a Colt Sport or whatever it is should be 21. I do not believe that they should be able to buy them at 18 years old. Where do you weigh in on that debate?
It comes down to, when is your brain most developed? I mean, studies say that it's not developed till you're 25 or 24. So it's like, how do you expect someone who's 18, who's still really reliant on adolescent brain to own a gun? So I can see the argument for raising it. At the same time, we have to redefine what an adult is then, because if you're going to raise the right to own a gun till you're 21, then I mean, what's going to stop you to raise it up, for voting or things like that? Because then you're just saying, well, they're not really well developed, so maybe we have to raise it for everything. Which is really ironic when you think about it. Is CNN is pushing, or many main news outlets, they're pushing the idea that we should raise the age for gun ownership, but lower the age for voting. It's like, what sense does that even make? If you don't think they're mature enough to handle a gun, then why are they mature enough to understand policies that are going to affect their future for the next 50 years? Like, it just doesn't make sense. Like, you have to either pick one. You have to pick a rhetoric, and you have to pick a point and stay with it and be consistent across the board. And so I guess that's the biggest issue I have with that, is just be consistent about what you believe.
Well, there's arguments on both sides. I mean, let's take a look. First of all, if we went to war and the draft was reinstated at 18 years old, you'd go into the military and they'd hand you a weapon and send you off to war. But by the same token, the drinking age across America, I believe, now I don't think there's any state where the drinking age is lower than 21. Okay. And the reason that the drinking age is 21 is because the country itself has decided that is the age where people could be responsible. Now, I certainly wasn't responsible at 21, but people are responsible at 21, and we don't want the kids drinking before 21 because we're afraid they'll get in a car and kill someone. But you hand them an assault rifle at 18. So you know, there's arguments on both sides, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I mean, this is probably off topic, but it's interesting that you bring up the drinking examples because I think in Germany the drinking age is you're legally allowed to drink at age 16 if your parent is with you, and I think you're allowed to illegally drink by 18 when with no parent. And their drunk driving and their youth drinking is actually astronomically lower because it's not a big deal. It's just a fact of life. So maybe there's a lesson there. Maybe there's a point there when it comes to, well, I think there is a point there when it comes to dealing with that with guns is you just need to educate people better. They just need to know what it's all about. And even at a young age, instead of saying, oh, guns are evil, they're the worst thing in the world, watch out, they're going to kill you. Well, let's talk about, well, they're really useful for this, and this is how they work, and this is what a caliber means, and this is every different kind of gun, and just really starting to introduce that. I mean, obviously not at a really young age, but to educate, kids in high school about how to use a gun and what it means. And then I think you make it more real and you make it less of a big deal in a sense to own a gun. And it's our second right. I mean, it shouldn't be a huge deal for us to be around guns.
What a great analogy, Sam. I mean, and again, I mean, I hate to keep up, but I live where I live, and there are, hundreds of thousands of people that live in rural areas like I do, and you're right. I mean, we have not had a shooting here in this town in I think 80 years, and that was a bar fight between two guys over a woman, and the reason is like I said earlier, it's no big deal. It's just part of life up here. And I think that's an interesting analogy that you bring in about Germany and the drinking age, because when we put restrictions on things, it tends to make people rebel. And of course, let's look at it. If we would all live a biblical life, it wouldn't be a problem at all, would it?
No, definitely not. And I'm pretty sure it's Germany. I may be wrong on that before someone calls me out on that. But and obviously drinking and guns are very different topics. And there's some problems with that analogy. But the point is to educate people so they don't freak out and they know how to better use it. But yeah, I mean, that you want to get to the root of every issue wrong with our society. It's the fact that they took the Bible out of schools. I mean, take the Bible out of schools and you bring guns into schools, essentially is what you've done. You've taken evil and replaced it, or taken good and replaced it with evil. It shouldn't be a shock to people that now that prayer is out of schools, they're less protected. I mean, you want an argument for how powerful prayer is, compare that correlation with each other. I haven't done it, but I would imagine that there's some correlation there. So yeah, and that's the root of it, is we gotta get our country back to the moral standards of the what the Bible states. And you look at every one of these school shooters, is they have some sort of family problem, some home life issue that is not being dealt with. I mean, if we can get the family back together, then again, this other stuff will fall into line. But ultimately, that's not what people want, because that's a goal that goes against many beliefs. So it's it's offensive to push Christian values, even though that will stop all this evil. And then people have the audacity to blame God and be like, where is God when all this happens? God's like, well, if you would just turn to me and let me in, then I would be there. It's just it's a brilliant work by Satan to frame this argument the way he has. And it's time for Christians to really start to understand the power of prayer. And that's how we're going to be able to stop these horrific events.
Amen, brother. Well said. Now, you're coming to Hear the Watchman here in just about 30 days. What is it that you hope to find there and take away from the conference?
I just like meeting everyone. I just like being in that group of people. Honestly, it's all about the community to me. You can just pick any person in that entire crowd, and you can pick any topic, and you can talk about it, and they'll have something to say. And so that's just in itself is beneficial. Plus, you get all the speakers are right there. I mean, you can just go up and talk to them and have lunch with them, and They can give you a podcast. No, I don't know. I don't know. It's not going to happen to everyone, but that face-to-face interaction is so valuable and something that people need. If you've been doing this research for a long time and you don't have anyone to share it with, this is something that you need. Humans are community-based creatures, as we need to be around people who are like-minded, and this is what this conference offers. And I'm excited to get back to it. I'm excited to meet some people, and maybe I don't know. I don't have a super huge podcast, but maybe I'll meet someone that watches the show and they've benefited from it. I mean, that's what gets me going, is someone is going to be like, come up to me and be like, wow, I really benefited from your show. Those comments, I get those, and like, man, this show really spoke to me and God really used it in my life. And like, that means so much to me, that God can use me to speak some wisdom into someone's life. So I get really excited about that, and just to meet people and discuss ideas and then rearm up and get back into the battle.
Well, I'm hoping you'll bring your camera, Sam, and your microphone or whatever you're going to use, mobile, and do some interviews. It would be nice for the people from your show to see what's going on there and to be blessed by some of it.
Yeah, I got a couple things planned. I might try to work in there. I don't know how conventional they'll be, but I'll just leave it at that. I got a couple ideas.
Well, unconventional is your middle name, so we're really excited about being there. Now, you started something called Millennial Matters, which is a scholarship fund for younger people to come to the conference. It's not too late if you're one of those millennials out there and you need help getting to the conference. You need a hotel room, you need travel money to get there. We want you there. Sam, how do they apply for that scholarship?
Yeah, that scholarship is awesome, Mike, that you supported that. You just gave 10 free tickets so we can get, the younger generation there. That's really cool. It's really simple to apply. You just go to www.sharpeningreport.com. There's a little tab. It says Millennials Matter Scholarship, I think is what it's called. And you just go out and fill out the application there. It's really short and simple. Basically asks you where you're from and why do you want the ticket and your name. And then you can apply for that, and we'll pick the I don't know, I'll pray about it, and God will choose 10 people to go. And right now that decision is very easy to make. I'll let you read into that. Yeah, so go, definitely, if you guys, even if you think about you might want to go, fill out the application and we can talk about it. We'll correspond through email and things like that. And we can work out some different ways, because the ticket's only half the problem. Travel is the other half. I'm going to be driving there all the way from Michigan, so maybe we can work something out there. But anyway, yeah, definitely go apply, because we need to get the younger generation moving here, because before you know it, the millennials are going to be forgotten about, and this new generation that has statistically proven to be quite conservative and quite active is just going to surpass us, and we're going to be the lame duck generation. We don't want to be that. So let's get moving.
Yeah, Jeannie and I, we're like what did they used to call us, Jeannie? Yuppies, right? Was that it? We were the yuppie generation. And so, I mean, I don't think anybody even knows what a yuppie is anymore. I didn't even know what a yuppie was then. But you're right. The millennials are going to be replaced. It happens to every generation. Now, Sam, I want to. This is going to surprise you a little bit, but I want to offer listeners of the Sharpening Report, okay, because I know they're not all millennials. I want to offer you 10 tickets to give away to listeners of the Sharpening Report who would like to come to the conference. So that's our gift to you, to help you promote your show, and to help you to get people who watch your show to come and meet you there in the Dallas area at the conference.
Yeah, that's unbelievable. I will definitely pass that information on. I know people in my audience will want to go, and I'll just have them email me if they're interested, and we'll see where we can go and have some sort of drawing. Yeah, that's really, really generous. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Well, listen, Sam, thank you so much for joining us tonight on the show. God bless you for the work that you're doing. I mean, it's so refreshing to see a younger face on there doing, like you and Josh, and some of the others, John Pounders, Jared Cressman, You guys are doing some work, and it's good to see someone else picking it up and stepping it up for the body of Christ. So thank you so much for joining me tonight.
Praise the Lord that he has chosen me to do something this awesome and be a part of this, such a great group. So thanks for having me back on the show. I appreciate it.
Well, folks, that's going to do it tonight for the Watchman Report. We're looking forward to seeing you in Dallas, Texas, March 22nd through the 25th. Don't miss out on this one. Live stream it, come in person, whatever you do, get there, be a part of it. Activate your faith moving forward into 2018. www.hearthewatchmanmen.com. Until next time, God bless everyone. We'll see you again on the Watchman's Report.